I'm going to share with you today in this video a technique you can use that will help grow your dog training business, get you more clients, and even in some cases help with your SEO, your search engine optimization, to help your website rank better. It's amazing. It works completely free. It does require a small time investment, but nothing you can't do yourself. It's super easy. And the best part about it is that it's going to keep working for you month over month, probably year over year in some cases. Stick with me and I'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. Many of you know me from my website, dogproblems.com, which started to take off pretty much in the beginning of the internet and became a dominant player. Over the years, that website ended up making us over $6 million as a subscription website, and also selling books and videos and audio programs that I had created for the dog training industry, specifically for dog owners. What many of you don't know is that over the years, I had also started several other online businesses. One of them was a blog in a specific niche that also accompanied 3 or 4 different books I had written that complemented the blog. So people would go to the blog, they'd read articles, and then they get the opportunity to buy my books as well as different products through my affiliate link that would send them to Amazon.com. That's not really all that important. What I want to share with you is that initially when I set up that blog/online business, I wasn't getting a lot of traffic. One of the things I did was I reached out to a guy who did a podcast that was basically about the same subject I was covering in those books that I had written that accompanied the blog. And he had a huge following, tens of thousands of people. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm a subject matter expert in this industry, and I would like to share what I know with your podcast listeners. Now, those of you who don't know what a podcast is almost like a radio show, but it's broadcast over the internet. And typically people will download it on their phone and listen to it while they're exercising or driving to work or walking the dog or whatever else they're doing. Every year, the number of people who are listening to podcasts just continues to grow and grow and grow. Some of them, like the Joe Rogan podcast, are getting millions of views every single episode. Actually, I probably shouldn't say views. I should say millions of listeners every single episode. Now, the podcast that I got on didn't have millions of listeners, but it did have probably tens of thousands of listeners who tuned in every episode to hear what this gentleman was going to say or who this gentleman was going to interview. And anyways, I approached him. I got on his show. It took maybe about a month before he got around to interviewing me. And we spent about an hour talking live on his podcast. And amazing things started to happen. I mean, once he released that episode, I started getting tons of traffic to my blog, tons of new visitors, and people, all kinds of opportunities were opening up to me. I had ex-girlfriends that I hadn't talked to in years contact me and say, hey, I heard you on this podcast. How you doing? What's been going on? It's pretty amazing. So, and that was a few years ago. So what happened recently is this. So one of my Google ad clients, I manage Google AdWords campaigns for dog training business owners, as well as dog daycare and other pet industry and some non-pet industry businesses as well. But one of my Google AdWords clients, Justin Rigney, who is, by the way, a phenomenal dog trainer. If you get the chance to go to one of the seminars, don't hesitate. Amazing guy, amazing dog trainer with tons of experience. You can really learn a lot from this gentleman. Anyways, he went on the Police Dog Radio podcast. And during the course of their discussion, he casually mentioned that when he relocated to Knoxville, Tennessee, he used me and my business to manage his Google ad campaigns and how well it worked. And it was basically like a 5 to 10 second plug. It wasn't that much. And then they went on and continued talking about whatever else they were talking about. And immediately my phone starts to ring. And immediately I get bookings for phone consultations. Adam, can you help me run my ad campaigns too? Absolutely. I didn't even know this had happened until one of the guys said, yeah, I heard about you from this interview that Justin did, which is amazing. And it kind of reminded me of the experience that I had a few years ago promoting my blog on that other podcast. And, sometimes things happen and you just kind of forget about them because you get distracted and you move on to other things. But boy, this is a technique that works because podcasts have just continued continue to get more and more popular. The other cool thing is every episode gets indexed in the podcast directory. So what that means is that even a year from now, when people are going through that directory of past episodes of the whatever it was called, the police dog trainer, police dog trainer podcast, and listening to past episodes, they're going to hear that plug. Every single person who downloads in the future, for as long as that directory continues to carry back episodes of that podcast, that plug will continue to be there and people will continue to hear it. So I got to thinking, what can you guys do with this? How can you guys use it? And so I started looking around to see if there were local podcasts that focus on like a local city. Like, for example, we're in Reno, Nevada. So I wanted to see if there were local podcasts that focused on talking about stuff relevant to Reno, Nevada. And guess what? There are. There are in pretty much every city. In fact, you can even drill down more. So, for example, you might be able to find podcasts for people who live in Reno who are into hiking, right? And so what you would do is you contact that person that owns that podcast. You don't need to start up your own podcast. That takes up too much time. I mean, you can. It's a great idea, but it takes up a lot of time and it requires a huge time investment. And you have to come out with an episode consistently, right? Better to just leverage somebody else's work, get on their podcast, have them interview you. You talk about whatever links to dog training and whatever their subject matter is. So, for example, Reno hikers or hiking in Reno or outdoor enthusiasts in Reno, and you have them bring you on to talk about everything somebody needs to know about hiking with their dog. Or if you're into hunting dogs and there's a local podcast, it could be local to your city or maybe even local to your state about hunting in Nevada, for example. You might want to approach the guy who has that podcast to talk about what his listeners might need to know about hunting dogs and using hunting dogs in Nevada. So whatever the tie-in is, you can get creative with it. It might be San Francisco moms, a podcast for San Francisco moms. So you get on and you talk about what moms need to know about picking a dog or adopting a new puppy. This gives you a huge amount of exposure. You don't have to pay anything for it. And I can pretty much guarantee you're going to get business. And again, the best thing is that podcast episode gets indexed. So people next week, next month, next year will still be downloading that episode and listening to it and hearing about you and you talking obviously about your business. Now, the trick to this, just like with a regular radio show, is you don't want to just go on there and pitch. You need to be a regular person. You need to engage in conversation and talk about the issues that are relevant to their listeners. At the end of the podcast episode, they'll give you the opportunity to pitch, who you are and your contact information for your dog training business. So you don't have to go real crazy about hyper promoting yourself during the course of that interview because it's going to come off as a little bit slimy. So listen, if you don't have time to approach different podcasts or go through that hassle, or maybe you feel a little bit self-conscious about doing interviews on radio shows or podcasts, and you just wish, isn't there a way I could just pay Adam to somehow bring me a consistent lead of new clients? I found that Google AdWords is one of the best ways to do that. The problem is Google AdWords is insanely complicated if you don't know what you're doing, and you can blow through a lot of money very quickly. What I do with my company is we offer a 100% done-for-you Google AdWords management service from soup to nuts. We take care of everything. All you have to worry about is answering the phone because people are going to be consistently calling you, people from your city looking for what it is that you have to sell, consistently calling you to say, hey, can you help me train my dog? If this sounds interesting and you'd like to read more about the type of results that we're getting for over 40 different dog training business owners across America, as well as Canada and a few overseas, check out dogtrainertoolbox.com. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a box that says Expert Google AdWords Management for Dog Trainers Only. Click on that box. Read through that page. At the bottom, there's a link to my calendar app. If it makes sense and it's something you'd like to explore further, click on that link and book a 30-minute free phone conversation with me, and we'll get on the phone and find out if what we're doing with Google AdWords would be a good fit to help grow your dog training business, because this is the type of thing that for certain dog trainers has really absolutely changed their lives. And I'd love the opportunity to help grow your dog training business and change your life as well. Take care, guys.